10 reasons why the 3 W's are essential on your next scooting adventure. Why, what, when. In this video, we're going to slide into the world of electric scooting. Whether you're going to a city across the world and you want to explore it for the first time, or you're going to a city and you want to hit all your favorite spots, e-scooting is the way to go. Chapter 1. So scooters range in price all the way from $199 to $5,999. Big price difference. And with that comes quality differences. With that comes reliability differences. And with that becomes big names that are synonymous with quality and reliability. On the other end, you have the budget scooter or the startups or names you never even heard of. So you really have to be careful when you're deciding what type of scooter to get. You have to do your research. Research breaks down into people, it breaks down into computer, and it breaks down into actually hopping on one and trying it out. For me, the new brand is the best brand for me. So there's really 3 tiers, and this is the new brand probably is definitely in the first tier. And the first tier isn't about price, it's more about battery life, about motor size, and about the power you're going to get from it. The nice thing about scooters are they're super versatile, meaning that yes, you need either street, sidewalk, or compacted earth to ride on. They're super versatile in that they're usually, the ones I'm talking about are usually right in the 30-pound range to get a nice quality scooter, and the price is probably under $1,000. Yeah, that's a little on the pricey side, but once you get on it, you're going to understand it. The versatility is also when you take it in the house and you have to store it. They fold up and they tuck away real easy. They're easy to charge. For adventure purposes, you don't need anything over 30 miles per hour. That's kind of like the sweet spot between 20 and 30 miles per hour. Talking about versatility, you can even take them on the bus when you travel. So you can fold them up and do it in public transportation. They're great for when you explore a city and you get hungry because you can fold them up and you can almost slide them under the table as you eat. So they're such commonplace as well, at least in our country, that you don't get a lot of looks when you ride in with a scooter and they see you folding it up. They just take you to the table and say, yeah, right over here. Point number 2. There's 3 tiers to scooters, and the tiers go by the size of engine and the speed. So anything up to 20 miles per hour is going to be tier 1, and those are going to be the most economical. They're usually considered budget scooters or commuting scooters. I think both of those nomenclatures are misrepresented because you can find some really quality scooters in that range, and they can be quite expensive, sometimes almost as expensive as the next range. The next range is the 20 to 30 miles per hour. For me, that's a sweet spot. The mid-range engines range anywhere from 500 to 1,000 watts versus the tier 1. You're going to get 250 to 500 watts. So with that extra power, doesn't actually necessarily equate into speed. It equates into being able to usually go longer and usually get up hills. The mid-range ones that go from 20 to 30 miles per hour, they often come with shocks. They often come with better brakes. So maybe they have disc brakes on both. Maybe have shocks on both the front and rear wheels. They may have larger wheels, which makes them a little bit more stable. You can feel the rides a lot more sturdy. You'll get that in the first tier as well, but they're like the upper end of the first tier. So I'd say anywhere from the upper end to the lower end of the second tier is going to be the sweet spot for adventure traveling, just for getting around the cities, getting around the beaches, not on sand. So sand and leaves and things of that nature we're going to talk about here in a minute. Those are big no-nos, and those are going to cause you to wipe out. So the next third tier, now you're getting into 1,000 watts to 5,000 watts. These guys can go up to 2 motors, but they also have a better braking system. They also have a better suspension system. They're usually sturdy to the point where they're not foldable, and they go scary speeds. When you get at that speed, you're wearing a motorcycle helmet, because if you fly off that thing, woo, you're going to do some damage, and you don't want that damage happening to your skull. So one other thing that you're going to want to pay attention to is battery life slash, well, I guess it'd be 2 other things. It's battery life as well as range. And why is battery life important? Well, if you're on a vacation and you have a limited amount of time in a city, and you want to spend that limited amount of time scooting around, and you want to hit special attractions where you're going to have to carry your scooter or find somewhere you can stash it while you're walking around, or you're going to go in a restaurant, that all uses battery. Yeah, you're going to turn it off, but more often than not, you're going to want to stop and get a picture. You're not going to turn it off. You're going to step off it, put the kickstand down, and go walk away. You're not using it, but you're still draining the battery. So some of these batteries, they don't have a long lifespan. And secondly, if you're not running the battery all the way down and then charging it, you're actually decreasing the overall lifespan of the battery. So the battery is going to hold a less of a charge. So when it gets 100% charged, it would actually be 80% charged, and so on and so forth. And it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller the more you fail to run the battery all the way down, at least to like the 10% mark, before you start charging it again. Here's what a lot of new riders don't realize is that the speed listed that you see in the statistics for, it's either going to be on the website or on the box or the brochure, but for the model that you want, isn't necessarily the speed that you're going to get out of it. And that doesn't necessarily matter either. Why? Because the reason why you're not going to get the speed is because it's not because how heavy you are. It's because your mass, as in where your mass lies. If you're a wide guy like me, then the wind resistance is going to look different. If you're tall and you broad-shouldered and you're sturdy, that's going to affect the wind distance. Where you're riding it, the traffic, where you're riding it as far as the surface, where you're riding it as far as the resistance on the tires and how bumpy it is, all that's going to factor into how fast you can go. You can go 25 miles per hour and get there in 6 to 8 seconds and have a blast. That's more fun. That zip from the startup is way more fun than getting to the speeds where you feel unsafe and maybe possibly get the wobbles. So for the freshman rider, we're looking at 20 miles and below. For the sophomore rider, we're looking for 20 to 30 miles per hour. I, at this point, have graduated to become a junior rider. Reason 3. So you can find great deals. I mean, great deals. A great scooter for that top of the first tier and bottom of the second tier. The brands, but for my needs, I don't need to go any faster than that. If I need to go faster than that, I jump on my e-bike. And if I need to go faster than that, I'll jump on my Vespa. But for you out there who's going to try scooting for the first time, you're a freshman. The brands I like are New. I also like GoTrax. I like Awesome, spelled A-U-S-O-M. And then you get into the higher end ones, Apollo, Segway, and Roadrunner. Roadrunner is quite expensive, and they have the ones that are very scary to ride. But the last 3 I mentioned will be definitely middle to upper tier 2 to tier 3. Chapter 3, kick scooters versus throttle scooters. So what do I mean by kick scooter? Well, they have this little safety mechanism where you actually have to get the wheels rolling before the throttle engages. So that means you have to kick, jump on the deck, and then you can engage the throttle. The New and Segway throttles tend to be a push style throttle. And then you get into the other brands, which has like a bicycle brake throttle. So it's not a brake. They have brakes, but they also have a throttle that's in the shape of a brake. The upper brands, you actually have more like the Vespa scooter or your electric bike, where you have a throttle that you roll back on the handle. Those are real fun. So on the tier 2 to tier 3 models, you're going to also get regenerative brakes, which means when you brake, it's actually charging the battery. Now you can't depend on that to fully charge the battery, but it assists. And the other thing it does is it gives you this smoother, slower stop, because it engages once you start to put on the brakes, and you'll feel it. It's almost like if you ride a motorcycle and you shift in gears, you can feel it when you downshift, or even on a bike when you downshift a gear. It kind of just gives you that little, almost like you're going into a strong wind. It just kind of slowly pushes you until you slow down. So that kind of assists with the braking, makes it a little bit smoother. So talking about brakes leads me into reason number 4. When you're standing on a scooter, it's really important you have an athletic stance. It's kind of like you have 2 springs in your legs. You slightly have your knees bent, which slightly bends your ankles, and you have the springs in your calves, and you have the springs in your hamstrings, and both of those stabilize you. So whether you have shocks or not, your brain's gonna run around in your head. If you're going over really bumpy terrain or you're going a long distance, there's going to be lots of little bumps and grooves in the road that are going to upper tier 1, lower tier 2. They usually have the smaller tires, not the smallest, but smaller than the tier 3 tires. So you're going to feel the road a lot more. So if you have that athletic stance, it's going to do 2 things. It's going to protect what's inside your skull. And the second thing it's going to do, it's going to set you up for starts and stops. So as you come up to a stop, what you want to do is crouch down a little further, and you want to kind of not quite lock out your arms, but straighten them out a little bit and push yourself back. And what this does is it keeps all your force from going over the axis. So your center axis is right where your handlebar is. So that front wheel, you do not want to put weight over it, because you're going to be going over it as you stop. You want to put weight behind it, which helps you to stop. But what it really does is if you have to brake in an emergency, somebody opens their car door, a little kid runs out in front of you, there's a bird that slaps you in the face and you can't see, you're going to want the stopping power. But when you lean back, it keeps that rear wheel on the ground when you have to brake for smooth braking, especially if you're talking about 30 miles per hour. And that leads me to body stance. Organs, which are usually located in the front of your body, they're protected by your feet. That's right, your feet. Feet position. You never, if you're doing an athletic, I always like to keep my butt to the cars. What does that mean? Well, if you got your butt to the car and somebody opens the door and you have to swerve out of the way, the worst thing that's going to happen is your butt's going to get hit, or maybe your back's going to get scraped up, but all your vital organs stance anyways, and your feet aren't touching together and pointing in the same direction. They're actually offset slightly, and usually your back foot's slightly pointing almost like an L. Not completely like an L, but almost like an L. And it's important to have a wide deck. So in the upper tier 1 and the lower tier 2, you're going to get the wider deck, so you're going to have more room to actually move around. And you'll find as you ride, you're going to be shifting your feet a lot, which leads me into proper shoes. It's really important to have a nice like CrossFit shoe, something that you'd work out in and you'd run in, and something that has a enclosed toe is really important. What's that? It's time for a No Man.
For a deep dive into the world of e-scooters. These sleek, fun, and eco-friendly vehicles have taken cities by storm. But how exactly do they work? And what sets different models apart? E-scooters operate using a battery-powered motor, usually located near the wheel hub. Riders control acceleration with a throttle, while brakes ensure safety. Most models have an average range of 10 to 40 miles on a single charge, depending on the battery size and rider weight. When it comes to speed, not all e-scooters are created equal. Entry-level models typically reach up to 15 miles per hour, perfect for casual riders, providing a leisurely yet efficient commute. Then we have mid-range scooters, clocking in at around 20 miles per hour, offering a nice balance between speed and stability. These are ideal for those who need to cover slightly longer distances or want a bit more thrill. For the adventurous, high-performance e-scooters can surpass 20 miles per hour, often going as fast as 30 or even 40 miles per hour. These are best suited for experienced riders who can handle the speed responsibly. The rise of e-scooters began around 2017 when they started appearing in American cities, quickly gaining popularity for their convenience and low environmental impact. However, with their rise, safety concerns emerged. According to safety statistics, there have been thousands of e-scooter-related injuries reported yearly in the US since their introduction. The most common injuries are fractures, head traumas, and dislocations, often due to falls or collisions. Wearing a helmet and being aware of surroundings drastically reduce these risks. In conclusion, e-scooters blend technology and practicality, making them an appealing transport option. Whether you're cruising at 15 miles per hour or zooming over 20 miles per hour, understanding your e-scooter's capabilities and staying safe is paramount. If you're thinking of joining the e-scooter trend, remember, stay informed, prioritize safety, and enjoy the ride.
Reason number 5. So within the 3 tiers of scooters, there are accommodations for all body types, meaning weight, height, stature, you name it. Even foot, like if you're like the in the 11 plus club for feet size, there's something there for your needs as well. So it's really important to look at your body type, and when you're doing all this research, find out the width of the deck, find out the weight limits on it, find out how it does going up a hill. So if the weight limit is max 265, you're getting a tier 1 that goes up to 20 miles per hour, and you're at 235, there's a good chance that once you start going up a steep incline, you're not going to make it. So you might want to go to the tier 2 that possibly max weight is 275, and you come in at 235 and it goes 30 miles per hour, you're going to make it up that hill no problem, and you're going to enjoy that ride much better. Again, when we talk about the feet, the deck size is really important. In the tier 1s, you're going to find these really thin, not even very long decks. Sometimes they're long, where you can barely put 1 foot on there if you got 11 plus size. For me, I can barely put 1 foot on there. So the key there is to really do the research. So now we're on to reason 6. So how do you find out if scooting's right for you in the first place? You gotta try it. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. If you go to any big city across America, you scan them, there's a QR code, you download the app, and there's multiple ways you can pay. You can even pay by PayPal, credit card, Apple Pay, and you usually pay by the minute. It may go in increments of 15 to 30 to 45. It may be by the minute period. It may be by the hour. So there's lots of places you can go to rent a scooter, especially in the big cities. We're here in San Francisco, and one of the companies that they use to rent scooters is called Lime. So let's take a look over here. You can also rent Bird, and then they have another one called Spin. There's several other ones out there. You can also go to a lot of these bike shops will have scooters for rent. Reason 7. This reason is more of a prerequisite to 6. So I probably should have called it reason 5. But you got to protect the old noggin. You have to have a helmet. It's really good to have some sunglasses, and it's really good to have gloves are going to be key. You want to also have closed-toed shoes. I would suggest, even if it's hot out, at least having some kind of protection over your legs and your arms. A long sleeve shirt, it could be light material, it could be sweats or something light for your legs as well. Just that little extra layer of protection, because you're new to the game. More than likely, fear is going to creep in. Fear is what does you in and everything. You're going to get a speed wobble. You're going to get something that you haven't experienced before. And you're either going to jump off and let the scooter go because you didn't buy the thing. You're just renting it and it looks all beat up anyways. Or you're going to go down with the ship. Either way, there's a good chance that you may have a little scuff with the deck. That doesn't mean you're going to get hurt, or maybe you get a little uncomfortable coming close to something because you're trying to thread the needle too close and you just don't have the skill set yet, and you don't have your butt out and your stomach's out and you hit your stomach on something, and then that causes you to hit your leg on something else and you don't have that protection, so maybe a branch scrapes you up. So I would just encourage you to have the proper attire to ride it. Which leads me to reason number 8. Should I buy new or should I buy used? I'm a big proponent when you start something out to buy used. So we're assuming at this point, you've already rented, borrowed to go and try out a scooter. You tried it out, you had an enjoyable time, and now you want to take the next step of buying it. This is the one place that I would suggest you don't buy used. Go new. Because what you're going to be able to find is there's not very many reliable things that are used when it comes to scooters. Now, when you get into the upper end scooters, that's different because you're getting them from a specialty shop, probably not over the internet. So the tier 3 ones, you could probably get away with doing used. You go to a reputable dealer that's has it preconditioned, meaning they've already run it through all the checks and everything checks out, everything's good, and they warranty it for the first 30 days once you take it. Go try it used if that's what you want to get into. But as a freshman, you have no business even thinking about that level of scooter. So you're going to be going with the entry level. So if you're going with the entry level, I would definitely get it new. 9. City adventures or vacations. So you can use this on many adventures, such as we would take the whole family and we would go down to our favorite park, and then we'd go to a restaurant and we'd all go eat at a pizza shop, and we'd eat outside and have the scooters parked, and it was great fun. And it actually gets people to come up to you and say, hey, that's a great idea. Where'd you get those from? What are you doing? And you build this little community around you. So those are all the little mini adventures you're going to take in the area. It also encourages your friends. Hey, you want to try our scooters? And they try them and then they like them. And that goes back to one of our other reasons on how to ride them. It's great fun when you involve others with your passions. And this is something that's easy to get passionate about because it's about creating an experience. And at Gnomish Adventures, that's what we love to do. We love to create experiences. And that's what we pay for, is experiences. We don't pay for stuff. So this is just a tool to enhance our experiences. So never think about these things that we're going to be talking about in the next 12 series of videos as us collecting stuff. We're collecting tools for experiences. The 10th reason. So these are all important things whenever you get into any new sport, any new family tradition, any new thing that you're going to try that you're going to spend time, spend money and resources on. It's really important that you figure out the 3 W's. The wrap up. So don't let the lack of time, money, or resources be the reasons why you can't find your way to a new e-scooter. They're affordable, they're reliable, they're portable, and they're worry-free. So look for our next video and please subscribe. Thank you for joining us, and let your next adventure be great.